Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:07 and it's Friday, and we are raring to go here to finish up your week and launch you into the weekend the right way. Coming up at 6:35, Madi Roca. She's running for Congress in the 6th Congressional District of Maryland. 7:05, Hans Von Spakovsky has plenty to say about that Georgia trial, the hearing that we saw yesterday. You know, Hans is a lawyer from Fulton County, Georgia.
Yes, he is.
So
he has intimate knowledge.
Yes, well, not quite as intimate as some of the other players involved, but yes. 7:35, Matt Schlapp will give us some analysis on what this means for Trump's presidential campaign and maybe a preview of CPAC next week. Yeah. And then at 8:05, Tom Rousey from WJLA on a story yesterday, scary one with loud explosion and smoke on metro stops downtown. Get to the bottom of that, too. I'm Larry O'Connor. You're hearing the beautiful voice of the beautiful Patrice Onwuka.
Happy Friday, everybody.
It is a happy Friday.
That's right.
Maybe not for Fani. Is
Willis.
it Fani or Fanny? I know it's Willis, but I stopped myself.
I think it's Fani, but she wants to be called Fani.
Fani.
Yes, Fani.
Hello, Fani.
We'll go by
what she wants to be called. We'll call her, as long as she doesn't make me change pronouns for her.
I know, right?
Who knows? She might. Listen, there's a lot of stunning testimony to get to yesterday. Let me just regroup exactly why we're here. The woman who is in charge of bringing these criminal charges against Donald Trump having to do with his conduct after Election Day in Fulton County, Georgia, where he believes, and many of his lawyers and advisors believe, there were irregularities in the way ballots were handled, approved, and counted and tabulated.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of evidence to support those claims. She is prosecuting Donald Trump under criminal charges for that. This, of course,
criminal racketeering charges.
Yeah, like RICO stuff, right?
Exactly.
So she hired a special prosecutor to help handle that, which, of course, is a very lucrative job. This is a private lawyer in a private law firm that is now contracted with Fulton County at the sole discretion of the district attorney, Fani Willis. And so tons of money, tax dollars, are going this guy's way, this lawyer's way. She decided to hire a man who literally had zero experience with any racketeering RICO cases.
Yes.
Which is odd, you would think. It also turns out that, let's say, at the very least, this gentleman that she chose is a very close friend. And if you believe Fani Willis and Mr. Wade, Nathan Wade, the gentleman in question, a romance began in early 2022 after he had been brought into this prosecution. They have sworn under oath that romance started after he was brought into the prosecution. The claim by the defendant, Donald Trump, and his lawyers here is that Fani Willis is personally, financially benefiting from this entire endeavor because all that money that's funneled over to her lover now, Nathan Wade, her boyfriend, then she benefits from because he's taken her on trips to Belize and trips to Napa Valley and doing wine tastings and all of these lavish things. And and you can't directly benefit financially by basically laundering money, tax dollars. And it also encourages her. It's like, is there a reason why you brought this prosecution? Well, you could also say you brought this for your own personal fame, your political gain, and your financial benefit, right? Those are the charges. So yesterday, she and Mr. Wade were testifying to say, you got it all wrong. There's not a scintilla of truth to those charges. Well, of course.
Except there was a lot.
There still seems to be.
There was a lot.
There still seems to be a lot. And none of their testimony. Yeah.
Just to underscore how important this is, if she has been found to have lied to the court, not only would she be removed, it's not a swap in, swap out. Her entire office would be disqualified from prosecuting this case because, and you'd have to either bring in, they throw everybody out, and you have to either bring in someone new, or maybe if they do bring someone new in, they may not pursue these charges.
It's sort of a fruit of the poison tree situation, I think. I mean, we'll have
From what I understand.
Hans Von Spakovsky is a lawyer. He'll be here at 7 to confirm that.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of salacious and, frankly, unbelievable and not intentionally humorous testimony from both Mr. Wade and Miss Willis, so we will get to. But I want to start with this because, honestly, when all is said and done, this is probably the most consequential testimony. This is a former staff member of the DA's office. Her name is Robin Yerty. She is a longtime friend, or at least was a longtime friend of Fani Willis, the district attorney. And she was asked point blank, is it true that this relationship between Wade and Willis began in early 2022?
When I ask you personal, do you take that to mean romantic?
Yes.
Okay. And do you understand it that their relationship began in 2019 and continued until the last time you spoke with her?
Yes.
Now,
that's huge.
That's giant.
That's huge. So she's literally saying, I have observed that they had a romantic personal relationship back in 2019, despite Wade and Willis saying, no.
That's right.
It was 2022, and telling the court.
Telling the court that
it was
under
2022.
oath. And immediately after that, they went on break before they brought Mr. Wade in for his testimony. And here was the MSNBC legal analysis midday, early in the day. It's around noon, I think.
Yep.
Legalistic centric and yet so important and fascinating.
Right. Don't let the legalese fool you. This is epic. This is monumental. If things are going in the direction we think, Fani Willis lied to the court, it's game over for her. She will be disqualified.
And that's huge, obviously. Yeah. And again, we'll ask Hans at 7 o'clock what that means in terms of the future of the case. This isn't about, this doesn't mean Donald Trump isn't guilty. It just means that there are huge irregularities, if not criminal, corrupt behavior within the office that is prosecuting Donald Trump.
Yeah.
All right. So now we've got a he said, she said situation, right? We got the friend that says absolutely there's a romantic relationship.
And by the way, before the friend testified, his former business partner and friend was forced to come in, didn't want to say anything when it came to, well, what's personal? A personal relationship? What do you mean by that? I don't know what you're talking about.
Be more specific.
It was so interesting.
Very evasive. Yeah.
The beginning of yesterday started like how court really is, like a lot of false starts and stops and interjections, like very boring. But then we switched to the TV version of court that we all love to watch.
That's right. This was it was a clash between Judge Judy and Jerry Springer. I used to remember my kids would watch Judge Judy sometimes, and I would say, courts aren't really like this. It's really boring. And now you get something like this. It's like, wow, I want to be in this business.
It's like Law and Order.
All right. So then Nathan Wade, the man in question, is called up onto the stand. And so now he's got to prove. He's like, no, she's wrong. And so he's asked about all of this travel. Yeah. And it's like, it sure looks like she's benefiting from you taking her out on all these trips. And he goes, oh, no. She paid me back for all those trips.
So in 2023, December, you said you didn't have any receipts.
I do not have any receipts. I did not have any receipts.
But you did travel with Miss Willis in 2023, correct?
I did.
And you traveled with her in 2022, correct?
I did.
And you traveled with her in 2021, correct?
No.
So you only traveled with her in 2022 and 2023?
2022 and 2023 is what I recall.
That's what you recall?
Yes.
Okay. So you just don't remember if you traveled with her in 2021?
2022 and 2023 is what I recall.
Is what you recall. My question is, did you travel with her in 2021?
I'm not recalling any travel in 2021.
So it's not yes or no, you just don't remember?
So, Patrice, I mean, wouldn't your
lying.
Man remember traveling with you?
Are you kidding me? Of course,
Only
from what I recall.
From what I recall.
So it could have happened, but he just doesn't remember. I'm pretty sure you remember traveling with another lady friend who is not your wife. Don't forget, folks, he was a married man. And I don't think even if his divorce proceedings had started years ago, it's not final. They're still battling it out.
More to come on this. It's 5:15 WMAL.
Later this morning on the Chris Plant Show, Joe Biden wins the support of Vladimir Putin because Joe Biden's more predictable. 9 a.m. on WMAL.
You said in the affidavit that you roughly shared travel, though, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So this roughly sharing travel, you're saying she reimbursed you?
She did.
And where did you deposit the money she reimbursed you?
Oh, it was cash. She didn't give me any checks.
So she paid you cash for her share of all these vacations?
Mr. Schaefer, you'll step out if you do that again.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so all of the vacations that she took, she paid you cash for.
Yes, ma'am.
And you purchased all of these vacations on your business credit card, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So
How many ways can you mess it up? Okay.
Oh, this is deliberate messed it up, though.
Well, yeah. But
Right.
first off, you are not supposed to commingle your tryst money for your trysts, your extramarital trysts with your business, right? That's the first mistake they made. And actually, I heard some CNN commentator railing about this. It's something that he should know and do better, right? But now, it was just cash. Just, it's thousands of bucks. She gave it to me. I gave it, back and forth. There's no.
We like to deliver the news and commentary and analysis here and get you started on your day and, hopefully put some a fun or funny spin on it when it's appropriate. But I had no idea that we're also going to give you news you can use for your extramarital
when you're stepping
trysts.
out on your spouse.
Exactly. When you're going to Belize with your...
You don't want the paper trail. Here's how you
honey.
do it, according to the prosecutor, Donald Trump's
So
investigator.
all of the details here, and we're going to continue because it's very important, and everyone needs to understand this is a jury of one. It's the judge.
That's right. Yes.
This is all. The judge is the only one who will solely decide the conclusion here. If you are to believe Fani Willis and Nathan Wade in the district attorney's office, and for that matter, they're representing the state of Georgia. If you are to believe the state of Georgia's position here, you must believe that, yes, Nathan Wade was hired to be the special prosecutor, resulting in a windfall of hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash for himself and his law firm. And it had nothing to do with his relationship with Fani Willis, which almost immediately became a romantic relationship. You also have to believe that even though Fani Willis, as his girlfriend, benefited from lavish trips, she paid him back for all of those trips. It wasn't a result of the money he was making on this prosecution case. And she paid him back entirely with cash.
Yeah.
There is no receipt or paper trail for any of those cash transactions. And finally, Mr. Wade, in receiving that cash, never actually deposited it. He just kept it in his pocket or kept it in his home.
In his house.
Right.
Yeah, because apparently in Georgia, that's where prosecutors keep their money, in their house.
Oh, tens of thousands of it. We'll get to that coming up because everyone, by the time Fani Willis got out there, said, where is she getting all this cash? So we'll get to that in a moment. But I don't know about you. I mean, listen, this happens sometimes. Like I pick up the check, a big group of us are out, and they say, we'll give you. Now, oftentimes they'll Venmo me.
That's right.
They'll use a Cash App of some kind.
Cash App.
But some people actually have, wads of 20s in their pocket because they just went to the ATM.
$40, yeah.
They pay me back the cash. Now, if it's a lot of money like this, like a trip to Belize, and you've put it on your credit card, you're going to put that money in the bank account that you use to pay off that credit card, right?
Yes.
I mean, logically, because that's the money that you just got reimbursed. Like for something, a big ticket item. It's not just walking around money. This is a trip to Belize for crying out loud. But if you're to believe this scenario, Mr. Wade never actually took the cash that he allegedly got from Ms. Willis and deposited it. So let me just put it this way. If you're to believe their story, you must believe it entirely on their testimony. There is no paper trail to back up their critical testimony explaining that they are not corrupt. You just have to take their word for it.
What judge is going to just take their word for it?
Well, if they're a nun or have this long, if it's Mother Teresa,
they are
maybe.
Officers of the court, and they are sworn under oath, and their testimony is sworn under oath.
And yet, Mr. Willis is now admitted that he lied under oath in his divorce proceedings. So there's already an example there that he is
undercuts his credibility. Undercuts both of their credibility. Yeah. I think that it looked pretty bad for them, and it only got worse. I mean, the salacious stuff aside, it's so interesting because I think we might have it, but back in 2020 when she was running, she talked about how you should put me into office because you don't want people someone sleeping with their coworker.
That's right.
Someone benefiting and being corrupt from their off.
We do have that. We've got a lot of audio here, and we're gonna take our time with it. We also have audio of her explaining, so where'd you get that cash? And she says, well, some of it came from my campaign. I just brought that home.
Yikes.
It's like, hang on, we might need to investigate that transaction. Real fast, though. Well, I don't have time. All right, there's more with Nathan Wade. Really funny stuff, especially having to do with staying in a cabin in Tennessee with Ms. Willis, or maybe with some other women that aren't part
we really
of this.
don't know.
We'll get into that coming up. You'll hear from Fani Willis herself.
Okay.
That was really and she's got more testimony today, too.
Yeah. Oh,
it's quite a show down there. And also what this means to Donald Trump. If I can just say that the bottom line in all of this is the American people now know these are the two individuals who are trying to decide for the rest of the country whether Donald Trump is eligible to be president or not.
Yeah.
This is outrageous. The corruption is so deep here against us, against you and me, because this isn't even about Donald Trump. This is about our ability to vote for who we want to. It's 523.
And I certainly will not be choosing people to date that work under me. Let me just say that. We are at a place in society where things happen in people's relationships, husband and wife. Sometimes there are outside relationships. I don't think that that's what the community is concerned about, although there might be a moral breaking in that.
That's Fani Willis when she was running for DA. She wouldn't date anyone who was under her. Although, to be fair, it sounds like she was under him a lot. Anyway, there's more of this testimony, including testimony from Fani Willis. Keep it here. It's 5:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station.
Making sense of the news.
News Talk 105.9.
News now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
It's 5:36 now as we roll along on a super busy Friday morning in your nation's capital. Thanks for joining us here. Thanks for being a part of what we try to do every single day, which is to feed you the news and information and analysis you crave and hopefully leave you with a smile on your face. Coming up at 6:35, Mariella Roca is running for Congress in Maryland. You'll get to know her. 7:05, Hans von Spakovsky is a legal expert lawyer and from Georgia. We'll get his perspective on what we're seeing in Fulton County. 7:35, Matt Schlapp on how it might affect Trump's presidential plans. And then 8:05, Tom Rousey from Channel 7 about that train mishap, the fire, the smoke, and the continued disintegration of D.C.'s metro system. I'm Larry O'Connor. That's Patrice Onwuka.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Yes. All right, so there's this one, but we're going to get to Fani Willis in a moment.
Okay.
Honestly, I at like 2 o'clock, I think, it was only Nathan Wade's testimony and everything. It's like, oh my gosh, we're already set for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Fani Willis hadn't even taken the stand yet.
Oh, and then she came powering into the courthouse.
She sure did. But I do want to point out this one point, because there's a question here about cabins in Tennessee. And the reason is, of course, they're looking at all of these expenses, all of these charges.
All of these trips.
All these trips. And again, I want to reiterate, if you were to believe the district attorney's office here, Mr. Wade paid for everything on his credit card. We see that paper trail. It all got reimbursed by her via cash. Fani Willis.
Yes,
we don't have any of the receipts that show that transaction where she pays him cash. We don't see him doing anything with that cash on a paper trail.
Redepositing it into the business account.
And we don't know where the cash came from, although under oath she gave some pretty interesting answers to that, and we'll get to that in a minute. But this idea of, okay, well, what about all these cabins you purchased, you rented in Tennessee? Yeah. Now, listen to this. And there's going to be a moment in here where it's going to sound like we've got dead air. Because he takes a very long pause to consider a question. I'll jump in there just so it's not dead air. Maybe I'll count the seconds that we're talking about. Take a listen.
I'm asking if you remember paying for a cabin 6 months ago in Tennessee.
No.
You remember booking a cabin?
I booked lots of cabins.
Wait, hold on right there. What does that even mean? I book lots of cabins. Why is he going to Tennessee in these cabins?
Because he wants to go where he will not be recognized,
Oh,
obviously.
that's
remember,
fair.
first, they're in Georgia.
And remember that he's married.
That's still married, yes.
All right. So he books lots of cabins. All right. So then the question is, well, did you book a cabin with Fani Willis? Which, by the way, if he didn't, that means there's some other women involved here, too.
That's a whole other story.
But we'll set that aside.
Did you go to a cabin with Miss Willis ever?
Ever?
Ever.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
No.
Never gone to cabinet.
No.
So, what in the world was he doing for 21 seconds? Trying to go back in his mind about all of the cabin trips and maybe all of the women that he's taken.
Yes.
And trying to put some faces to all of those months of trysts.
Oh,
I mean, you listen.
glorious.
You know whether or not you have taken your main squeeze, or maybe she's the Wednesday squeeze. I don't know. But to a cabin.
Yeah.
He's playing games. He is absolutely playing games with the court.
That's right. And we're not just doing this for the Jerry Springer salacious part of it.
Although it's fun.
That's part of it. It is part of it. But that's not why we're doing it. I just want to reiterate, since there's no paper trail here, there's no evidence, there's no physical evidence, the judge, and we, by the way, the people, need to determine the facts of this matter based on their credibility, based on their character, based on who they are as people. Ain't looking good for them.
Yeah.
All right, so Fani Willis takes the stand. Obvious questions. What's with all the cash? What are you talking about here?
You wouldn't get it out of the bank. I have money in my house. You have money in your house, so it was just money that was there. When you meet my father, he's going to tell you as a woman, you should always have, which I don't have, so let's don't tell him that. You should have at least 6 months in cash at your house at all times. Now, I don't know why this old black man feels like that, but he does.
Yeah. Huh. That is her.
I'm just allowing you to get in here because I don't.
Listen, okay, there in the black community, is there skepticism of the banking system? Yes, and blacks are among the most highest unbanked proportion of the unbanked in America. That said, most black people have bank accounts. Most professional, higher earning black folks use the banking system, and so. To the idea that, well, I've got thousands of dollars in cash. Usually the people who do that either are tinfoil hats or are selling the crack.
No, they're drug dealers. Selling the crack.
No, I'm not saying that she does.
Of course not.
I'm just saying
but
that it's to assume that because she's black, she's going to have thousands of dollars in cash in her house.
There was a political panel later in the day on MSNBC. The legal panel, we already played you, where they said, this is game over, it's finished. And then they cleaned up the mess a few hours later. They brought in a political panel, and there was a woman who said, oh, yeah, this is very common in the black community. And you're right. I know that there are statistics that show, I've been hearing this a lot from politicians, that the black community does not, as you put it, underbanked. They don't utilize banking services. But I'm told that's racism. It's because banks don't want them there because of the systemic racism. Not that they voluntarily think it's a good idea to literally keep $15,000 of cash in the mattress.
It is not. And frankly, in this day and age with crime the way it is, she has now just opened herself up for some armed people hitting up her apartment or her house, wherever she lives.
Especially considering she's the DA there. Crime is terrible. By the way, she was asked, where'd all this cash come from?
Whole life. When I took out a large amount of money on my first campaign, I kept some of the cash of that. Like, to tell you, I just have cash in my house. I don't have as much today.
Hold on.
Wait, what?
Did she just say that her first campaign she took a bunch of cash out and just she kept it?
I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to do that.
I think that's a violation of sorts as well. Can we go back to Mr. Wade and see, has he come up with an answer yet about whether he ever spent a night in a cabin with Fani Willis? No, okay, he's still thinking about it. Or maybe that's the sound of a nice, lovely, romantic evening in a cabin.
That's where they were in Tennessee.
There's more, believe it or not. We're just scratching the surface. Keep it here. All right, let's see. Where can we go with this now?
There's still so much to choose from.
Fani Willis, all right, she was asked about, oh, God, and just the tortured, dancing around the topic here. And frankly, the attorneys were trying to be too polite because they were saying, when did your romantic relationship begin? We'll define romantic. In fact, let's go to that real fast because they're like trying to figure out, basically what they're trying to do is say, you guys,
sleeping together.
And were you hooked up romantically? Which, by the way, I just want to say, because there seemed to be a lot of instance here where they were focusing in on whether they were having sex. I'm sorry, maybe I'm old-fashioned. You can have an inappropriate romantic relationship without actually having sexual intercourse, and it would still be completely corrupt in the scenario that we've painted here with regard to the money and the intention and the focus on prosecuting Donald Trump.
The moral corruption that Fani Willis herself said.
You don't have to have sex for that. But listen to this sort of dancing around every possible euphemism.
I'm not talking about a professional relationship. I'm talking about a personal relationship. Have you had a personal relationship at all, and you know what I mean by that, after the summer of 2023?
Are you asking me if I had intercourse with the district attorney?
I was trying not to, but I guess if you're going to characterize it as that, the answer would be?
The answer would be no.
So it's been purely professional since the summer of 2023.
So that's where we're having issues.
Okay, you'll have to explain because I don't know what the issue would be.
No, I will explain to you.
Thank
you. You say personal. We're very good friends, probably closer than ever because of these attacks. But if you're asking me about specific intercourse,
it's just maddening. It's maddening the way they keep dancing around.
He's hedging, trying to pretend like they
Right.
do not have an inappropriate relationship, and
Right.
they do.
Fani Willis, of course, is now asked as well about spending the night together because there are times that they spent night together.
Yeah.
What is that? Well, they didn't have to necessarily have, the full-on situation there, go the full Monty. But if they're spending the night together, that suggests an intimate, non-professional relationship, right? She has a house. She also has a condo. Living large there is the DA. Now listen to this back and forth. That again, I'm sorry, it just looks like she's hiding something. Listen.
When I ask you personal, do you take that to mean romantic? Yes. Okay. And do you understand it that their relationship began in 2019 and continued until the last time you spoke with her? Yes.
I apologize. That was the other clip. This is the clip I was referring
witness,
to. The sheet jumped here. Here you go.
You wouldn't get it out of the bank.
I have money in my house.
You have money in your house, so it was just money that was there.
When you meet my father, he's going to tell you as a woman.
Oh, all right. I'm
have.
sorry. I was looking for cut 13 there, Heather Hunter, but it looks like a different cut was put in the 13 slot. All right, let's move on though here. Now Fani Willis is asked about her relationship with Mr. Wade and about let's get to the details. She starts telling about what kind of man he is.
Oh yes.
And well.
And did the forthcoming indictment have anything to do with that? Or was it just a coincidence?
Mister, let's go on and have the conversation.
I've just asked you whether or not it was a coincidence.
Had absolutely nothing to do with this. It's interesting that we're here about this money. Mr. Wade is used to women that, as he told me one time, the only thing a woman can do for him is make him a sandwich. We would have brutal arguments about the fact that I am your equal. I don't need anything from a man. A man is not a plan. A man is a companion. And so there was tension always in our relationship.
So why are you with him? If he is a misogynist like you claim he is, why are you going the full length with this guy and for this guy? That's what I don't understand.
Hold on, Patrice. I gotta rethink this whole thing because here I've been saying that they don't have any credibility, that there's no character here, there's no principles and everything. But this guy, I'm having second thoughts about him.
Mr. Wade is used to women that, as he told me one time, the only thing a woman can do for him is make him a sandwich.
I mean, what kind of sandwich are we talking about here?
Larry,
because
don't get distracted.
No, I'm starting to like this guy now.
Listen,
Hey, Fanny, enough with the lawyer talk. Make something happen in the kitchen, will you?
Well, she made a lot happen for him.
Yeah,
I mean, he said the only thing a woman can do is give him a sandwich. She gave him trips. She gave him $650,000 for his law firm. Was she trying to prove him wrong?
That's what happened.
I'm your equal, so I'm going to give you all this stuff on the taxpayer dime.
He said, Fanny, make me a sandwich. And she said, I'll tell you what, I'll take you to Belize. How's that? And it's all right. I'm down with that. One other great thing about this.
Yeah.
We cut to MSNBC's coverage in prime time. I told you they switched to political coverage.
In the morning, it was like they're doomed.
Yes,
Fanny
yes.
is doomed.
And then you turn to the MSNBC coverage. First of all, who's anchoring there?
Hey, everyone. I'm Alicia Menendez in for Nicole Wallace. We have been watching an extraordinary...
Menendez. That name now sounds familiar.
It does sound familiar. Isn't there
a U.S. senator,
There
right?
is a senator currently facing corruption charges. Part of the corruption charges is that Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey was keeping gold bars in his home instead of piles of cash.
And when he opened up his jacket pocket, he had wads of hundreds.
Wads
right?
of hundreds, very similar.
Stacks.
Yes, that is correct. This is the daughter of Senator Bob Menendez, who was chosen by MSNBC to anchor the coverage of the corruption in Fulton County.
Did they miss that? Somebody at MSNBC missed that? Or are they just thumbing their nose at us?
What was really fascinating is during one of the panel discussions, one of the analysts just turned to her and said, "Where did the gold bars come from?" No, I'm kidding. That was actually from a Bob Menendez event earlier. The panel, though, that was very political.
She had an explanation for the cash, which I think raised a lot of eyebrows. Yes. Why would you be paying back this man in cash? Who uses cash nowadays?
I thought
Has she
that
been
was
credible?
the most compelling part of it. And there's lots of personal details about her life and how she lived. There were places where she drew the line. For example, not wanting to talk about where her daughter lives right now. But the testimony on the whole was calmer than I expected it to be when she first walked in.
You were worried.
But also incredibly detailed. And I thought her portrayal of why it is that she pays for things in cash and has lots of cash on hand was very compelling. Basically, it was a life lesson she learned from her father and then sort of joked about the way that she was raised by that old black man, as she referred to him.
Yeah, old black man.
That is a perfect liberal, a liberal white woman trying to justify wrongdoing on the part of a black woman and of a minority. Stop it.
Yeah, I mean, we can't begin to understand because we weren't raised in that culture, is what she's saying. You know how those people are, is what she's saying. It's insulting and demeaning, and there's another word for it. Oh, it's racist. That's what it is.